Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. 2 men shot and killed in St. Catherine identified. Tourism sector to increase revenues this summer. And later in sports, injury concerns for reggae girls ahead of Women's World Cup. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. We begin with a developing story. The 2 men who were shot and killed allegedly by the security forces in Gordon Pen St. Catherine on the weekend have been identified. Dead are 17-year-old twin Cunningham from Ochere's address and 34-year-old Cleon Rowe from Spanish Down. As Carrie Simpson reports, there is growing outrage over the incident.
The police continue to insist the men were killed in a shootout, a claim which residents and family members of the deceased have rejected.
The community upset yesterday, then go for make roadblock. We have police here all day, because police know, up to them, punish them, police don't know about the operation here. And 100-man police come and do it. Because a regular police come over this yard, search you them, let them go. All of a sudden now you come find gun.
Relatives are also accusing the police of planting the firearm which they recovered from the scene.
I said they don't recover nothing. No, we say when this short police woman come up, me sorry me never have my phone for me. She come with the gun in her back. And when she reach up, she hand the policeman the gun. Then little after you see him come out, wrap up with it in like a nephew, pink top where him have on, and throw it in a jeep.
She insists both men were not troublemakers.
Because the police them will come, know the youth them. Them know them and them know say them are no gunman. Them know them, my nephew work, him fix lawnmower and when name Walker. That work them do. Twin no work, but any little thing he get for do, and him just get a baby at 5 months old.
The matter is being investigated by Indicom. Carrie Simpson, TVJ News.
A motorist narrowly escaped injury in St. Elizabeth Sunday evening. This is after his vehicle went over a precipice along the Lacovia Main Road. According to reports, the driver was heading towards Burnt Savannah when he collided into an embankment. He managed to pull himself from the wreckage before contacting the police. Summer 2023 is looking positive for the hotel interests. President of Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, Robin Russell, says he's optimistic about Reggae Sumfest and other planned activities. Carrie Simpson reports.
It's known as the greatest reggae show on earth. Reggae Sumfest usually attracts thousands of music lovers from across the globe. President of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, JHTA Robin Russell, says this is a big boost for the tourism sector this year.
I would say that if you haven't booked your room already for Sumfest, you have to stay outside the parish of St. James. Sumfest is looking to be an excellent year. We see a lot of people coming in. There's a lot of interest. So, as always, we're very excited for Sumfest. And we're looking forward to another bumper season because of it.
As it relates to glitches at the nearby Sangsters International Airport in Montego Bay, St. James, Mr. Russell says those issues have been addressed and so visitors should not experience major delays. Fortunately,
I've heard people coming through the airport. We checked on it up to this week where everything was flowing pretty good. Unfortunately, the airport isn't the size it should be. There is expansion that needed to be done, and the persons at the airport and the government have agreed to do it, but it will take some time. But in the meantime, I know that everybody is working really hard to process people as quickly as possible, and it seems to be working. Even up to, I think it was Monday, we spoke to some persons and they came through excellent.
Meanwhile, Mr. Russell says after Reggae Sumfest, there will be other planned activities which will further generate income for the sector.
Obviously, right after Sumfest, you run right into that whole Emancipation Independence Weekend. And those also look very positive in terms of local bookings. And so, we're looking forward to up to the end of August, even further on, with very strong pre-booking numbers.
Carrie Simpson, TVJ News.
The Northeast Regional Health Authority says it remains on high alert in light of the threat of COVID-19. Aisha Nation has the details.
The Northeast Regional Health Authority says Portland is currently under its radar. This amid reports that the Princess Margaret Hospital in St. Thomas is overwhelmed with COVID-19 cases.
We are closely monitoring especially Portland, which would border St. Thomas on the east. But we're not seeing any spike in the numbers that we would normally see per month, which is usually below 1%. And that hasn't moved. But we are aware that there seems to be something happening, and we have put things in place just to increase our surveillance and to monitor to see if it is impacting us.
Port Antonio, Port Maria, Annata Bay and St. Anne's Bay regional hospitals all fall under NERA. The regional director said those hospitals are currently operating within their capabilities.
Usually at this time, what we see most is the increase in trauma cases from the motor vehicle accidents. The holiday period, people are moving around, and we are on the North Coast belt. But the feedback from my clinicians and CEOs is that the emergency severity index, which is what they use to test the numbers at their A&E department, has not significantly increased as yet.
Crime, however, remains an issue at the health facilities, but the team has that too under control.
So there seems to be some spike in crime activities in some sections of the region, especially in St. Anne. So, we'll have to deal with those cases when it happens. And that's right now in terms of some elevation in numbers that we're dealing with, especially at the regional hospital.
Aisha Nation, TVJ News.
The St. James Public Health Department is calling for a centralized slaughterhouse in the parish. This as public health inspectors continue to grapple with issues surrounding the sale of uninspected meat. Kirkwright reports.
How much do you know about the meat you purchase? The Public Health Department in St. James argues people don't know enough. Acting Chief Public Health Inspector Sherika Lewis is encouraging butchers and consumers to inform themselves about the meat trade under the Public Health Act.
We're also imploring persons who may need to purchase meat for consumption that they ensure that wherever the meat is bought is from a licensed butcher. We have seen over the years of persons who are stealing animals, and these animals may very well go into the food trade.
Butchers must also ensure they can verify the owners of the animals they're buying. But counsel for the Montego Bay Northeast Division, Charles Sinclair, says the issue of the meat trade is much wider than that.
The persons who are also involved in the slaying of chicken, poultry, are also butchers, right? So it's just that I suppose persons associate the term in a very limited way, but it is much wider. So probably you could just explain that so that persons know that all those persons who are living in these communities and raising chickens, and that is good, but they do it on a regular basis, that they also would have to be licensed according.
Lewis says what's needed is a centralized slaughterhouse for the parish. This will eliminate the need for public health inspectors to travel far distances to inspect meat.
One thing that the health department is grappling with at this moment is the great number of slaughterhouses that we have to contend every day in the parish. And this has been taken away from some of our duties. For example, in the Cambridge area, we have Monday to Friday we have butchers who are slaughtering. So we want to encourage, again, the need for a centralized slaughterhouse.
But Mr. Sinclair thinks that's an issue the Public Health Department can deal with.
So can't it be, if you are having that situation internally, that it be regulated so that you know whether it's going to be done on a Monday, Wednesday, a Friday, or as the case may be? Wouldn't that address with some immediate effect?
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. The Jamaica Teachers Association is again calling for the government to re-examine how pensions are paid to teachers. JTA's president, LaSonia Harrison, says this is unacceptable for the educators who have dedicated their lives to the sector.
But that our employers agree in principle, practice, and on paper to a suggestion that has been made some years now that payment of pension be confined within a turnaround period of no more than 90 days.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority is reporting success after receiving 10 new motorcycles last year to support its drive to keep the nation clean. Executive Director of the NSWMA, Audley Gordon, says with the deployment of the motorcycles, response times are significantly reduced.
Giving us the ability to respond in quicker time to infractions when they are reported to us. For years we've been saying that we need to get a little more agile, and while we didn't get the amount of bikes that we would like, we believe that the 10 bikes we got for the island has helped our limited capacity that for enforcement. It has helped it significantly so far, and we just want to keep going in that direction where we can add more agility to the process.
Mr. Gordon says in addition to issuing tickets, the enforcement team is also educating the public on the relevant laws governing waste disposal.
Certainly there's an uptick in the tickets. We don't want to measure success just by the amount of tickets that we issue, because there are other interventions that we are doing and talking to people and showing people the right way and helping people to do better. So even while we are enforcing, we are also doing the public education, and that helps, because the truth is we want to walk gently but carry the big stick. We don't want to be just out there writing tickets. We want to be out there also educating people and to hold people's hand as we try to navigate our way to a better approach to waste management. So the enforcement officers have dual roles when they go out.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
VM Financial Group has raised $11 billion in a preference share offer. VM Financial Group, the newly established financial holding company for VM Group Limited, put up the offer through a restricted placement made available to accredited investors only. The shares, first offered in April, were listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange on Friday. $6.8 billion of the funds came from converted VM Building Society deferred shares. $4.2 billion in new funds are listed as Class A, B, and C share. And on the international scene, Twitter owner Elon Musk says the company is still bleeding money. Musk disclosed on Twitter the company has seen a 50% drop in advertising revenue, and it is carrying a heavy debt load. At the moment, Twitter is operating with a negative cash flow. More than half of the top 1,000 advertisers on Twitter left after Musk took control of the company last year. Besides a loss in advertising revenue, Twitter is also facing a challenge from Meta's new app called Threads. It had more than 100 million downloads less than a week after it debuted. And that's the Business Minute. I'm Aisha Nation.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, effective today, Dominica will be mandating interviews for all applicants aged 16 and over applying for its Citizenship by Investment Program CBI. The CBI program is a way for investors to receive citizenship and a Dominica passport in exchange for investing in the country. The new rule is said to be aimed at enhancing the integrity of the program by eliminating the threats posed by illicit investors and to cooperate with international stakeholders. On the international scene, at least 40 people in South Korea have died after a weekend of severe flooding and landslide across the country. The weather caused rock falls, power cuts, damage to infrastructure, and the overflow of a major dam in one of the nation's provinces. Thousands of people have been forced to evacuate their homes. And Ukraine has claimed responsibility for an early morning attack on Russia's Crimea bridge, which left 2 people dead and another injured. A source in Ukraine's security service SBU said the attack was a joint operation of the SBU and Ukraine's naval forces. The bridge, which is said to hold symbolic importance for Moscow, connects the Crimean Peninsula with southern Russia. And those are the top regional and international stories. I'm Carrie Simpson.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report with Jordan Fort.